everyone. I was reading in the 1 Samuel chapters 28 and 30, and some things just stood out to me that I wanted to share with you today. A little backstory: David was running from King Saul, who was trying to kill him. He ran and sought refuge with the enemy, with the Philistines, which that's a whole other story on its own. But the enemy was going to war against Israel, and David and his men were going to go because they had been there for 16 months. But the princes of the Philistine princes said, no, we don't trust David, send him back home. So David and his men went back to where they had been staying, their new home in Ziklag. And when they got there, they found that the Amalekites had come in and taken all their families, their women, their children captives, and just burned the city and did just horrible things. And so the men, David's men, and him, they are horribly saddened by this. And in chapter 30, verse 6, it starts and says, "And David was greatly distressed, for the people spake of stoning him, because the soul of all the people was grieved, every man for his sons and for his daughters. But David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. And David inquired at the Lord, saying, Shall I pursue after this troop? Shall I overtake them? And he answered him and said, Pursue, for thou shalt surely overtake them, and without fail recover all." So that word pursue is what stood out to me. David had a really tough time. These men were wanting to kill him because of what had happened. They blamed that on him. I looked up the word pursue, though, in the Oxford Dictionary of English, and it means to follow, or continue, or proceed. And the one that really stood out to me, it says, continue to investigate, explore, or discuss. Sometimes when you're on a road trip, we recently were coming up here to the Rocky Mountains, and sometimes when you're on a road trip, you encounter roadblocks or you encounter wrecks along the way. Do you just stop? No. You wait for that roadblock to clear, or you go around a little detour, or sometimes you get low on gas, or you even run out of gas. Do you just stop there and say, we're done, we're just staying right here? There's a lot of places between here and Southeast Texas that I would not have wanted to stay. A lot of desert places, and we had to fill up with gas a few times on our way up here. I would never have stopped and said, oh, that's it, we're not going any further, we're out of gas. But we keep going. So you make repairs. Say you break down on the side of the road. You make repairs and you keep going. You get back on the road. I know this may sound a little elementary, but it's kind of the same thing we do in our spiritual realm. We sometimes go through tragedies, or we go through really difficult times. Maybe someone has rejected you, or you have horrible grief, or there's just been some really difficult situations, and you just want to stop there and say, I'm done. I'm not going any further. We've got to remember, we've got to pursue. We've got to keep going. We've got to keep moving forward. I want to read that again from 1 Samuel 30, chapter 6. It says, "And David was greatly distressed, for the people wanted to stone him, because the soul of all the people was grieved, every man for his sons and for his daughters." But what did David do? It says, David encouraged himself in the Lord. Maybe you're asking, what does that look like? To encourage yourself in the Lord? It means you pray, you talk to God, you pour everything out to Him. You tell Him your worries and your fears and your doubts and your frustrations and your emotions and everything that you fear, everything that you feel, everything that you think. He knows all about it, but He wants to hear it from you. He wants you to pour it out to Him and hold nothing back. He wants you to lay it at His feet and leave it there. 1 Peter 5:7 says, casting all your care on Him, for He cares for you. And I want to end with a couple of verses. One from John 15:9. I already have that looked up. It says, "As the Father hath loved me, so have I loved you. Continue in my love." And that was one of those definitions of pursue, is to continue on. We're to continue in His love. If we get to these points, and I know I've been there many times, especially in this past several months, it's kind of like, I'm done. I don't want to go anymore. I just want to just lay down and die. Or I just want to just wander off and not be found. No, God says continue in his love. That's where we find our encouragement, is in Jesus. We need to continue. We need to pursue after him. We pursue him, we pray, we talk to him every day, every moment of every day. We include him, and we read his word and find out what he says and what his promises are. And let's end with Colossians 1:21 through 23. And if you, who were sometimes alienated and enemies in your mind by wicked works, yet now hath he reconciled in the body of his flesh through death, to present you holy and unblameable and unreprovable in his sight. If you continue in the faith, grounded and settled, and be not moved away from the hope of the gospel which you have heard. We must continue. We must pursue after Jesus. He is the author and the finisher of our faith. Pursue after him every day, all day. Have a good week.